इस संध्या के मेमोरियल लेक्चर का आयोजन स्वर्गीय प्रोफेसर मदनेश्वर मिश्रा जी की याद में हुआ है।
Madaneshwar Mishra, fondly called Madan Babu by most, was born on 23rd of April 1923 in village Bishnupur, which falls in Amor block of Purnia district. He was the eldest of 9 siblings. Both his parents had little education but were keen to educate their children, and as fate would have it, their eldest responded very positively and was studious and very particular about his education right from beginning. Both his parents were very hardworking and he inherited the trait from them. You would realize this when I talk about activities that he was simultaneously pursuing after joining Purnia College as its first teacher. On 15 January 1934, he joined Kalanand Uch Vidyalaya Garvanelli. In 1934 itself, he had an opportunity to meet Mahatma Gandhi, who visited there and had asked for donations with open palm from everyone for Harijans. Madan Babu had only one pice with him and he placed the same in hands of Mahatma. In the said process, his hand touched that of Mahatma, and according to him, he felt electrifying sensation run through his body. And he felt himself transformed. Madan Babu was deeply touched by the said incident, so much so that he would narrate this story even when he grew old. He narrated it as being the most satisfying moment in his life, even though he would go on to help numerous individuals himself to either get job or on their studies or any other pursuit, which in his opinion deserved his help. He would never talk about them. He would never talk about anyone whom he had rendered help. In 1941, he moved to Bhagalpur, TNB, now TNB College. It was here that he met Lalit Nair Mishra and they became great friends, which continued even after. In 1942, during the Quit India movement call, he fled Bhagalpur and after reaching Bishnupur, his home village, in company of few other youths from the village, tried to unfurl tricolor at the police station of Amor, though unsuccessfully. He showed his keenness to be part of various other activities then as well and was secretary to Literary Society as well as Seminar Society of the college. After graduation, both he and Lalit Nair Mishra moved to Patna University to do their masters in economics. Other classmates of his were Baliram Bhagat and Tarkeshwari Sinha, who reached great heights in national politics. After masters, he joined Purnia College as the first teacher and professor in charge until Janardhan Prasad Jha Dwij joined as principal. It is here in college that he showed his ability to take workload that for ordinary people would be impossible to think of. At the college, he was most sought after teacher for activities like athletics, common room, literary societies, etc. In fact, he was also hostel warden for some time. While accomplishing all that, he never missed a class. It was not only college that he gave time to. He took other responsibilities at the district level as well. He was secretary of district Hindi Sahitya Sammelan and chairman of Maithili Sahitya Parishad. He was chairman or secretary or a member of the following other educational institutions like Kalanand Uch Vidyalaya Garvanelli, Raja P.C. Lal High School Purnia, which he helped to establish, J.P. College, Narayanpur, Murarka College, Sultanganj, etc. He was actively involved with Purnia Post and Telegraph Association, Purnia District Library Committee, District Sports Association, etc. During all this, he also undertook adult education with help of his students without any assistance from administration. He was also appointed as an assessor in district court to assist in dispensation of justice. He left no field untouched. In fact, he was also editor to few magazines that came out from Purnia at that point of time. He was also called upon to present the case of Purnia district before the State Reorganization Committee. In addition to that, he was also member Academic Council, Senate and Syndicate of Bhagalpur University. While doing all this, he also found time to fight an election for ward commissioner and did so successfully and took upon the said responsibility as well. In the meanwhile, in 1964, he became principal of Purnia College, succeeding Janardhan Jha Dwij. In 1972, he became founder vice chancellor of Lalit Nair Mishra University and starting from one-room accommodation took it to now very impressive university campus. In 1980, he was appointed as advisor to the government of Bihar on Bihar rural development and remained so till completion of his term in 1984 when he joined as head of economics department Lalit Nair Mishra University. Simultaneously, in 1980, he was appointed as chairman Maithili Academy. He was also appointed as chairman of Block Reorganization Committee and gave a very detailed report. If the then government or subsequent governments would have followed his recommendation, the smallest administrative unit of Bihar would definitely have been more efficiently organized. In 1985, he was appointed as additional director of Lalit Narayan Mishra Institute of Business Management at Muzaffarpur and worked till 1991 when he lost his life partner to a severe heart attack. He thereafter devoted his time to writing. He left for heavenly abode on 22/11/2004. He was a karma yogi in real sense of word. He was honest to the core and did everything very sincerely. He hated laziness and wanted everyone around him to be sincere to their cause. He touched numerous lives. Even today, the family members get to know from strangers as to how they were helped by Madan Babu. I would end this with an incident that happened in my presence. I was traveling with him and my aunt to Darbhanga. Since the train started at night, we could not get acquainted with fellow passengers then. But in morning, we got to know each other and started talking. I was mostly confined to talking with my aunt. A gentleman well dressed in dhoti and kurta started conversation with Madan Babu without asking him his name. He soon came to know that Madan Babu was going to Darbhanga to his son's place, which was in the university campus. The gentleman started narrating an incident as to how Madan Babu had helped him in some matter related to his son and praised him profusely, not knowing that he was narrating it to Madan Babu himself. He could not resist but asked him as to whether he knew Madan Babu, and he replied affirmatively. I was about to tell him that it was Madan Babu himself whom he was narrating story to. I was stopped from doing so by him. My aunt kept on smiling and we reached Darbhanga and deported train and went to Nargona where Bhaiya stayed. On my way, I asked him as to why he did not disclose that he was Madan Babu. His reply was simple. He said that the other person would be embarrassed. He did not intend to embarrass him. I am sure most of us here would have revealed our identity and gloated over all praise.
प्रोफेसर मदनेश्वर मिश्र के अकादमिक योगदान के बारे में और मिथिला और मैथिली भाषा में के विकास में उनके महत्वपूर्ण योगदान के बारे में आज मैंने कुछ पढ़ा भी.
I met him first time when he became Vice Chancellor. At that day, probably, when the announcement was made, he visited somebody's house, Kedar Chaudhary, who was a lawyer, and I was a tenant in that house. There are 3-4 points that I want to make about Professor Mishra, which our generation should carry from him or can carry from him. One is that, he was a pioneer of kind of writing in literature, and which actually the signature kind of thing from Purnia region. That is, a literature which was not merely literary. It was also a kind of social science and history. Something that Renu has written, something that Sachinath Bhaduri has written, that Dodai Charitmanas, that he was not merely a typical intellectual in the modern sense of the term. He was, in a way, a kind of social activist, historian, literary person, social economist, whatever you put them together. But above all, he was a great human being. And Professor Mishra probably represented that pure intellectual who never gave up the work of thinking, writing, and contributing to society, connecting with society in as many possible ways as he could do. And his project of social transformation was never out of his sight. A third thing, I think, which I would like to request people who knew him or a proper researcher to develop a kind of autoethnography.
Being the son of the person whom you are celebrating right now, I am always reminded of Rudyard Kipling's famous poem, If. Always maintained his stately touch. While talking to the crowd during the great JP movement, as Vice Chancellor, he had to face many such crowds, but he maintained his stately poise And he never forgot his common ancestry, the common man that he was. And therefore, I often say that my father was an ordinary person with extraordinary thinking. I can say that I wish, Manindraji was saying about my father's literary contribution. Yes, I wonder if he has read Pratyaksh, some collections of stories. They have hardly any element of traditional element of story, except that they are story, they are real stories. Even names are real.
एक ही बार मेरी मुलाकात है, वो विद्या विहार रेसिडेंशियल स्कूल के एनुअल फंक्शन में आए थे और साथ में उनके पुत्र प्रोफेसर रत्नेश्वर मिश्रा जी थे। उन्होंने बच्चों को एड्रेस किया और बच्चों को इतनी अच्छी अच्छी बातें बताई और जो टीचर्स थे और जो बाहर के गेस्ट आए थे वो सब लोग उनके कायल हो गए। बच्चों जैसी बात बताई, अनुशासन की बात बताई, पढ़ने की बात बताई, टीचर्स को अच्छे ढंग से पढ़ाने की बात बताई और जो गेस्ट आए थे वो भी काफी प्रसन्न थे।
I thank our learned speaker of this edition of Professor Madaneshwar Mishra Memorial Lecture, Professor Pushpendra Kumar Singh, Professor and Chairperson, Patna Center of TESS, for taking time out from his busy schedule to enlighten us on this very important topic concerning our area, migration and the making of a village in Old Purnia district. I thank our chairman of Shri Professor Madaneshwar Mishra for bringing to us these opportunities through this memorial lecture and other lectures across the year. I thank chair of today and patron of Shri Ramesh Chandra Mishra. I thank Professor Manindranath Thakur for responding to the lecture and also enlightening us on the life and times of Professor Madaneshwar Mishra. I thank co-chair of today's program, Shri Santosh Mishra ji, Advocate, Supreme Court of India. In the end, I end with our tribute towards late Professor Madaneshwar Mishra ji.